Join us for the next hour. Just about. We're getting into the news. What's going on with Boeing? Right. Guys, we're talking about it. I mean, they had a whistleblower taken out just last week, and now there's another plane that's been grounded. And we're going to figure out what is happening with Boeing. I'm starting to think there's a reason they got rid of this guy. You're going to see the entire fleet grounded. Oh, goodness. You know, when you have the inside scoop, when you had someone in your ear telling you all about it, the Boeing whistleblower called the MarkinsPires show pre-murder / suicide, whatever they want to say it really was, you know. I was in the truck, I just couldn't handle that first day of testimony. I couldn't handle it anymore. I decided to take my easy way out. That's not the real story. We have the news here. How are you over here on TikTok? I want to say hi to Gerber, my Gerber, my friend. Good to see you. Harvey's here on YouTube. Guys, YouTube X Rumble. That is where you see the show in HD. You see the news stories over my shoulder. We scroll the news. This is what we do here. And then you can read the news with me. And you could see where I take a comedy tangent and then enjoy the crazy comedy we do here for 1901 days in a row. That's ridiculous. This streak here, guys, we're on our way to 2,000 days in a row. Main Girl found out that someone on Twitch did 2,070 days in a row, and then they stopped. So I guess we still have some work to do. I mean, I'm only at 1,901 days in a row on YouTube. But that is a ridiculous streak. I hope you will join me for the next 99 days as we make our way to 2,000 days in a row live on YouTube. I think this is something that's really, really special. And I'm hoping that other streamers out there start doing stories on the guy who's been live every day since December 31st, 2018. I think it's a cool story. If I wasn't me, I would be doing the story on me. I'd be like, wow, there's a guy who's been live every day since December 31st, 2018. I'm doing that story. Hey, did you guys hear about the guy who's been live every day since December 31st, 2018? Yeah, he's on right now on the TikTok channel and on YouTube and on X and Rumble. His name is MarkinsPires. He goes by MarkinsPires. Just trying to lift you up a level. We get together in the morning at 9 a.m. and then again at night. Tonight's Friday, so it's Friday night cover night. Every Friday night, it's cover song night on the Beat Seat. I'm sorry? Yeah, the Beat Seat. You don't know about the Beat Seat? This show is sponsored by the Beat Seat. The Beat Seat is the only drum in the world for guitar players. You sit on it, you can kick it while you play your guitar. It's the perfect seat for a guitarist, which, by the way, they don't make good guitar seats. They're all crap. This is the perfect guitar seat. You kick it while you play guitar, and if you don't have a guitar in your hand, it's the only drum in the world you can play with your entire body. Hands, feet, it sounds like a drum kit. 2 snares, 4 playable panels. What? There's something called a cajon. You may have heard of cajon. Cajon's crap. The Beat Seat, 4 playable panels, 2 snares, sounds like a drum kit. A cajon has 2 sounds, a little bit of a bass and then a snare. That's it. This has unlimited tones. It's ridiculous. So this is basically a cajon on steroids. Okay, check it out at beatseat.rocks. Matt Zabrowski. Guys, if you don't know who Zabrowski is, he's about to hit you with a woohoo. Zabrowski! Woohoo! Zabrowski brought it again. Guys, was that another 10? I think that was another 10.0 Zabrowski, 2 days in a row. He brought it last night. Day 1900 in a row. And then all of a sudden again, he's back again with 10.0. You know, Zabrowski, I think I have to call the Grammy committee and see if they were on for that one. Hold on a second. Helen, how are you? Oh my goodness. Oh, hi. Yes, is this the Grammy committee? Yes, who am I speaking with? Oh, hi, Deandra. Listen, Deandra, I'm here. This is MarkinsPires. I'm the host of... Yeah, MarkinsPires. You're a fan? Oh my goodness, Deandra. I had no idea you're a huge fan of the MarkinsPires show. Yeah, 1901 day. Now we're into the 1900s. Deandra, listen, I can't get into it. Yeah, I've been doing it a long time. Look, we just wanted to find out, did you get that woohoo? Were you watching? Zabrowski, she's on. Guys, Deandra's in the chat. Deandra, just stop lurking, all right? Yeah, no, I love you too. All right. Yeah, I'll say hi as soon as I see you in there. All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Deandra. No, Deandra, I'm live. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. All right. Bye-bye. Guys, Deandra, she's a fan of the show. I had no idea. Zabrowski, another 10. This time the Grammy committee was on. Deandra, she was here. Oh, guys, look. See, Deandra, she said she got another Grammy. It's coming. It's in the mail. They're sending it. See, they don't give the woohoo live. You know, you get up there, you're like, oh, look, my name is Prince. I'm here with my Grammy. No. Zabrowski for the woohoo, that's the after show. Everybody goes home. The caterers, like they're out there, they're bussing the tables. They're like, woohoo of the year. There's one camera left. All the other cameras left. You know what I mean? And that guy's sitting there, he's doing it. Same guy that they used on the moon when they got off for the first time. I'm here on the moon on TikTok. So guys, J.E. in the house. I love it. Yeah, you know, Zabrowski, you got to say, Jim Liacona's here as well. He's got a beat seat. He's jamming out on a beat seat with me. Chris Donaldson, how are you, my friend? Oh my goodness, Jay said my mom used to work for Prince, that man and his vegetables. No way, J.E., I got to hear more about how your mom worked for Prince. What did she do for Prince? Prince is one of my favorite artists. And the reason why is because he saw things for what it was. He was very practical. He was a very, very brilliant man. But I kind of see myself similar as an artist. He would just write, like just sit down and just start writing. And I heard a story about him the other day. Someone said, you know, being in a room with Prince was just weird because he would just sit down and just jam. And you'd be like, oh, he's just jamming the piano. And then he would just write a song. And I was like, man, that sounds familiar. And like, yeah, he would just like, it's not like noodling around with Prince. It's like he'd sit down and all of a sudden there's a song and there's this like really, really complex, you know, musical piece that took place in front of us. And I'm like, wow, I do that every single night live on this show. And it's special. Like even, what did we do last night? Just a pretty piece of music. Jason Lee, my brother. So that's what we wrote last night, and it's just a bunch of jamming. I mean, the stuff we're doing is, if you're a fan of guitar playing, if you like Jimi Hendrix, if you like Stevie Ray Vaughan, if you like Jerry Garcia, if you like that type of vibe, Fish, Dave Matthews, John Mayer, if you like that type of music, you should be tuning into the show because we're live every single day of the year. And it's not just playing songs, like, oh, good. I'm writing songs. This is crazy stuff. We're on, and it's like, you start something as an idea. I was like, oh, I'm gonna just kind of create songs here live. Then you put 209 songs out into the world doing this. And then it's like every night the challenge to me is, okay, what song am I gonna write tonight? Is it going to be a good song? I hope it's great. I don't know, but I don't have any idea. I'm just going to get out there and have fun with you guys. And we take your words sometimes and we write songs based on your words in the chat. And so this show is just the moment taking place at all times. And I love it. It's thrilling to me. And that's why we get together every morning to lift each other up with some positivity, get into the news a little bit, and talk about what's happening in the real world. So what's great about this show is right over my shoulder, you will actually see the news story. This isn't something where I'm reading and you're just, I'm trying to tell you something that I'm seeing and you're not watching. You're watching with me. And then you see where I divert into a little bit of comedy. I think it's important. Something we're all missing right now. They want to keep you kind of totally caught up in the insanity, the distraction, instead of breaking away for a laugh. Do you guys know why why Saturday Night Live was so successful when it first started? It's because comedy breaks through all of the negativity, if you can allow it to get out there. Now, I want to see, we're going to get into this story quickly. This is very interesting to me. And I want to talk about misinformation and disinformation at the same time. So just the other day, we had a scenario where Boeing's whistleblower went on the stand, one day of testimony. He goes to his truck, and then he's found there dead. Now, they say that there was a gun in his hand and he just couldn't handle it anymore. But we've all heard this story. We've all seen these movies before. This guy knew too much. He was starting to say what he knew, and they hired a guy. Now, these people are very good at what they do. They're so good at what they do that afterwards you'll say, oh, he did it himself. Look, we have all the evidence here. He just couldn't go back out for that second day of testimony. Regardless of what happened there, that man is no longer with us. He was trying to do the right thing to save souls. He's no longer with us. And then all of a sudden we see that this morning there was another Boeing plane downed. Emergency landing. And you're saying, well, wait a second, another Boeing plane? The same week that the whistleblower was... So let's just start looking at these paid for by Pete Simi, who's obviously contacted by Boeing. Let's read this story because When you start seeing stuff like this, you know that there's a bigger story ahead. The sudden drop of a Boeing 787 that had injured 50 people. I didn't even know there was injuries. I just thought that they needed to go down for an emergency landing. 50 people injured, caused by a flight attendant accidentally hitting a switch in the cockpit, guys. What she was doing in the cockpit? Well, she was doing the thing to the cockpit, you know? She's in there. It's commonplace for a flight attendant to go into the cockpit and start touching buttons. What's this one do, Henry? Don't touch that, Candace, you know? The real story is that Candace was doing the 1-2 Magoo in the cockpit. No, seriously, like, this is the stuff you'll start seeing. Oh, yeah, a flight attendant happened to be walking by and just randomly elbowed a button in the cockpit. So wait a second. Flight attendant back here, right? Flight attendant's back.
Chip, could I get you anything while you take the flight into LaGuardia?
Then all of a sudden she's like, oh, let me just elbow your cockpit over here. Just want to make sure that I, get in here with that coffee order, Chip. You have to question things. You have to question everything. Sudden drop, 50 people injured, whistleblower dead, cockpit, flight attendant, she's in there. It was a WWE/MMA event in the cockpit. And that's what happened here, guys. They were fighting. Sometimes they do it. 50 people were injured. Suddenly dropped in midair. Latin Airlines described it as a technical event. Now, so how is somebody who's elbowing or touching and hitting a button considered a technical event? That seems to be human error. Maybe, Pilot seat was moved into the controls when a flight attendant hit a switch. Again, that flight attendant, she's just hitting stuff.
I don't know what I did. We went down 50 feet.
This is all a bunch of horse crap. I'm telling you, there's a bigger story here, guys. We're on it. Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Is the 787 the one that he was given the insight on? Yes, the Dreamliner. That was the one they were talking about. We're gonna have to see what's happening here because now I'm starting to tie the two together completely. If it was the 787 Dreamliner, which I'm pretty sure it was that this guy was talking about, that was the one that they were trying to get out as this big new plane that everybody's going to be pumped about to fly and then have to be immediately emergency landed because of a 50-foot drop or whatever it is, 50 people hurt in a drop. How much did it drop? It said 50 people injured. How far did it drop? Suddenly dropped in midair. What does that mean, by the way? Like, what is this? You're just like, I'm flying, whoop, and then you fell. Where did you fall? How much did you fall? 787 Dreamliner. But let's see, I just want to go to the chat real quick. Can you guys confirm that it was the 787 Dreamliner that they were talking about and why this whistleblower was, Because it seems to me that we're having issues with the 787 Dreamliner. I guarantee you the entire fleet gets grounded. You heard it here first in the MarkinsPires show. Remember that. When you guys like,
well, geez, they grounded the entire fleet of the 787 Dreamliner.
When the class action suits start, you heard it here first on the MarkinsPires show, day 1901 in a row. All right? Chris Donaldson knows. He's like, geez, I didn't put two and two together, Mark. Now I got it. Now I'm going out in the world and saying, yep, heard it first on the MarkinsPires show. Dreamliner, Look, you need to have a brilliant detective mind to put together that a whistleblower just died 3 days ago. And then there's a Boeing plane that grounded. Again, another one. That's Sherlock Holmes stuff, guys. Nobody's talking about it at all. They're all like, geez, that's weird. There's a Boeing plane that went down. Idiots. They should know how to do the detective work. Sherlock Holmes style. Guys, this is just slapstick improv comedy. You show up and you're like, yeah, we put the two and two together, buddy. Boeing whistleblower. And then today, Boeing plane down. There's clearly some malicious activity going on here in the Boeing part of the Boeing Corporation. If you guys don't realize this, the other day we dug deep into it. Boeing is worth $177 billion. Billion with a B. Look, I'm going to take over the company. Dr. Evil, like when Dr. Evil says he's had enough, you know you're in trouble. $177.44 billion. And they can't do the right thing. They can't get the right parts. They can't hire the right workmen, manpower, whatever necessary. But I think it's more about materials. They were just pulling things from other aircraft. Like, let's just see if this works. 83 parts, I believe, that were not designed for the Dreamliner were just thrown onto the Dreamliner. And now you're seeing lots of stuff. Now, what I see, and this is what I'm starting to question, this is actually a jump, but it may actually be an actual material fact if we dig into this. Sometimes what you'll find when there is a drop, it's because of pressure in the cabin. Now, if there's an issue with the doors, which is what one of the issues was with the Dreamliner, is the doors, something with the assembly not done properly. If there was a pressure issue, that's why you can explain a drop. I think if you're too high, though, you die, like Payne Stewart. Remember what happened to Payne Stewart? So that's something I'd need a little bit more clarity on. But I would say if you weren't very high up there and then all of a sudden you had a pressure drop in the cabin because of a door seal or something like this, you would probably see a drop. All of a sudden the plane's going to fall out of the sky. You have to have cabin pressure, right, in order for that thing to stay up and stay afloat. So just curious about that. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know what you think. This is curious to me. You know, you find a whistleblower gets, and then now this is happening here. 50 people are injured. I think you're going to see many people getting sued. Boeing's going to be held liable for this. You know, especially finding out this whistleblower gave enough information. It's only a matter of time before somebody else at Boeing steps up and says, let me finish off and complete what he actually no. Now that they murdered the guy, there's no way. There's no way that anyone's going to be like, hey,
Let me fill you guys in on the rest.
they're all just protecting their hides over there at Boeing. They just realized all the people at Boeing that were like, I can't stand working at Boeing. Just all of a sudden we're like, it's not that bad here. You know, like, what's that? Talk later. Yeah. You know? They went from like sitting at the water cooler being like, I'm so sick of being here. These bastards don't appreciate me. You know about that issue with the Dreamliner, right? I was there. I was on the floor. I knew about the 83 parts. You know, what's that? The guy who was murdered? Yeah. What? No, I wasn't there. I didn't even know. That was my cousin. My cousin Jimmy was the one who worked that scene. Dreamliner? I don't even know. What is that? I'm not even sure what the Dreamliner is, to be honest. You know. Oh, no, sure. I'll do the TPS report. Right? Sometimes when you get the TPS report out, and Sig Sauer comes out, and going down on a beat seat. Oh, goodness. So, guys, this is just a little bit of comedy news within the very, very concerning thing that's going on here with Boeing. But I would like to hear from you. I really would like to know what you think about this. Am I onto something here about this Dreamliner, about the obvious, whistleblower? And I also think, like I said, they're gonna ground all of them. That's what I believe. You know, when your company's worth $177 billion, and you're still trying to see if you can get to the $178 billion, or might get to $180 billion, instead of saying, you know what, let me spend a bill and make sure this is done correctly. We're offering a new product, a new service, a new airline, essentially. This is a whole new class of airline, the Dreamliner. And now you're seeing. This is what happens when you cut corners, people. This is why there are regulations. This is why you have a permit process. This is why you have some sort of oversight. Like, you can't just go out there and build an airplane like this and be like, hey, you know what? We'll scrap this part with a part from the 747. It should work. It doesn't exactly fit, but we're going to work it. We're going to put a little, duct tape around it. It worked well for the moon lander. Just have to remember that, guys. What worked for the moon lander will work here for the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Sometimes it feels good to give you guys the proper information. Anyway, here we go. We're moving on. What else is happening in the news today, Joanne? Joanne with the wheeze. Oh my. So I'm not sure, I'm just going to quickly mention that down in Georgia, Devil went down to Georgia to try to see if they can steal the next one, you know? And they hired a couple of pit bulls to go after a certain former guy who was there doing it. And now he's trying to basically fight all kinds of conspiracies, you know, just like he did during the time he was at the place that he's trying to get back to. And basically, one of the bulldogs was banging the other bulldog, right? And pit bull banging. They were doing a crossbreeding. It was a pit bull and a bulldog. And the bulldog was getting a bangaroo and getting dinners as well, you know, vacations. They're drinking from the same water, like, you know, bowl and everything. Well, you know, the owner just decided to say, you can't do that. You got to either, you could stay and eat, you know, you could stay and eat and you could try to see if you can eat a lot more, you know, or you could get rid of that guy, eat his soul, and you stay on, or you just get the fuck out of here, you know what I mean? So that's what's happening with the pit bulls right now in Georgia. That's how we talk about politics here on the MarkinsPires show. We work around it. It's actually pretty interesting to do that. These people are like, I can't. Look, let's see what else we have here. This is like Stephen Colcutt's over here. Stunned by Newsmax. I can't. We asked a flight attendant to share her travel must-haves. They're all $25 or less. Huh? Yeah, no, I don't give a crap either. I'm just telling you. 500 pounds of pure snake. Massive python mating ball snagged in Florida. What? I agreed to meet my ex-husband's 2 other ex-wives. I did not expect that decision to change my life. Who the hell freaking cares about this? Guys, I think we got to get rid of Yahoo and go somewhere else. And what's happening with Kate Middleton? Does anybody know? Everybody's talking about this. Like, there could have been a bangaroo going on with the cousin or something. The one that just, you know. There's a lot of stuff being chatted about in the back end. And we get into it here. We get into the thick of it. Into the woods, they say. Some people say Into the Woods, which was a play. It was a musical, actually, I remember from back in the day. Cardiologist explains the things you can do, let's see, to test your heart health. That's probably a good one. This one right here is probably a good one for us to read. A 101-year-old former CEO shared his longevity advice. Don't stop working, right? Oh, the Mediterranean diet and walking. That was what he says, guys. I nailed it without even having to open the story. That's how good I am. Sometimes you hear the comedy news, you know, there's the answer. The New York City strap hanger shooter, aggressive rider in head after wrestling gun away from him. I don't know what that says. I don't know what that says. Anything else here? What the heck? Details revealed a desperate attempt to save CEO Angela Chow trapped in a submerged Tesla. CEO of Foremost Group died in a car accident on her Texas ranch. She was trapped in a car for an hour while rescuers tried to save her. That's scary because a lot of you drive Teslas. Let's see why she couldn't get out of this car. Sometimes it's battery related. I mean, think about this. And I got a freaking Ford Mach-E, and this scares me sometimes when I think about it. If for some reason electrical system shuts down, how do you get out of that car? It's all electrical, everything. There is no gas, there is nothing except for the battery. And so if now you're stuck in the car, and even just to open the doors is electrical. So, okay, so now I'm locked in a car, right? I already have this plan of just kicking the freaking hell out of that window, you know what I mean? Sometimes I try to make sure I have a window open so I could hop out of that motherfucker, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be stuck in a car. But let's read this story. Let's find out what's happening here. If you're on TikTok, do me a favor. You can head over to X, Rumble, or YouTube and subscribe. This is 1901 Days in a Row. We're live every day, twice a day, 9 a.m. and after 9 p.m. for this, and then it's music and comedy at night. We create songs. Full band, like live looping, lots of stuff. But it's, you got to check it out. Head over to YouTube and check it out. So, in February, several reports surfaced about the death of Angela Chow, Texas-based CEO and the sister-in-law of Mitch McConnell. I didn't know this. I remember hearing about Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law dying, but they didn't know that this is her. Okay, so this is Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law. Is there something she knew about Mitch? Marble mouth? My sister-in-law. You know, he's there. Chow died in a car accident, the first report stated, but in the following weeks, reporters at the Austin American-Statesman, part of the USA Today, have pieced together the details of the incident, an hours-long, desperate attempt to save her life. Chow is believed to have drowned after a Tesla veered into a pond on a private ranch in Texas. Local officials have been tight-lipped about the incident, but denied that there is a criminal investigation underway in the recent interview. It's always been an unfortunate accident. We have not seen a single thing that would make us believe otherwise, said Robert Woodring, Chief Deputy of the Blanco County Sheriff's Office. Here's what we know about Chow's death. That one we never did this one, but the guy who intentionally drove off a cliff with his family or whatever, that was pretty messed up stuff. We may want to read that one later. Shortly before midnight on February 11th, deputies responded to a private address outside of Austin, Texas. For a possible water rescue. Property's owner shared an address with Chow's husband. Oh, so this is somebody, she was at a friend's house, it looks like. The property owners shared the address with Chow's husband's public equity firm. EMS responders responded over the next 30 minutes, completely submerged with someone inside. Look at this. The deputies were in the water, standing on what they believed was the vehicle, trying to gain access to the possible victim inside the vehicle. Other crew members searched the banks of the pond for other victims and set up lighting. A tow truck arrived, but the chains couldn't reach the car from the banks. Meanwhile, the deputies atop the vehicle used myriad tools, including a pike pole and Halligan bar, to try to break into the vehicle. It was approximately an hour before they got to Chow. Rescuers pulled the woman from the vehicle at 12:56 a.m., advanced life support for 43 minutes trying to resuscitate her. Chow was pronounced dead at the scene. No dive team was available to be sent to the ranch, Pension's report says. I mean, like, who's got a dive team just sitting around? Like, what? Oh, yeah, no, we're ready to go. I got my flippers on. You know? That's unfortunate. But, yeah, there's no dive teams available. It's just Texas. 1:43 in the morning. You know? What am I doing? Just here, I got my flippers on. It's 1:43. I'm ready to go in case there's a call. Not happening. Such teams are generally tasked with recovering bodies, not rescues. That's so sad. Look at this. Chow, who lived in Austin, CEO of Foremost Group, a New York-based global leader in the dry bulk shipping industry. She took the helm of Foremost from her father, James S.C. Chow, who founded the company and served as its honorary chairman. She was a Harvard University graduate, earning both an undergraduate and graduate degree there. Chow also published author on topics of economics, international trade and finance, and education. So she was like brilliant, super brilliant. Jim Breyer and Angela Chow. They attend the American Film Institute's award. This is January 12th. This is just a couple weeks ago. She died in an accident a month later. Wow. That's so sad. Is Jim Breyer Capital? I thought he was going to be from Breyer Ice Cream. Breyer Yogurt. Not my, I don't think they make ice cream. Wow, listen to this. Chow's older sister is Elaine Chow, who served as transportation secretary under former President Donald J. Trump, Whittick Big League, and labor secretary under former President George W. Bush. You know, so you got a little bit of both there. The elder Chow is married to Senate Minority Leader Mark McConnell. You know, we got a little bit of everybody here on this show. Freaking Mitch Marblemouth McConnell, right? Oh, goodness. Helen, how are you? That property's so big she'd be able to drive the Tesla from a guest house to the main house. Oh, goodness. They found her car super far out into the pond after going off a cliff. Something is very weird about it. That does sound weird. Property is so big. So, guys, that's interesting. Did you hear that? So there's like in the middle of the water. What did she like run into the water and just keep driving? Maybe I'll just drive through this. Drove into the middle of the pond? I don't think so. Something else nefarious going on here. What did she know about Mark McCall? She knew something about him. All right, we're going to wrap up the show. One more story. One more story. We're late into it today. Guys, if you haven't yet, please do me a favor. There are 2 new channels here on the YouTube, on the tube. And we're going to try to blow them both out. I need to get over 50 subscribers on each in order to go live on them. The first one, and I think you could just type this in on YouTube and get to it. That's our new woodworking channel. Mark Has Wood. All you got to do is type it in. It's actually the first time ever on YouTube where if you type my name in or whatever, I come right up. If you typed in MarkinsPires, MarkinsPires, like it was always like you had to search for me. You type in a little thing like, oh, Mark Pires, blah, blah, blah. You have to search for me. If you go type in Mark Has Wood on YouTube, right at the top of the screen. Yeah, we're staying away from the stupid people that say that I'm a harm for a moment. Let's see what happens. But it's going to be a funny channel. We do a lot of comedy with woodworking. Mark Has Wood. Sorry. You know, it's a piece of comedy I put out yesterday. Helen, you rock. Yes, you have. You're the best. I got to say, I appreciate your support so much, Helen. J.E., you rock. With the magnetic pole shift coming and the constant solar storms, it's hard to pass on boarding a plane until after the shift has occurred. I'll tell you, I wouldn't... When is the shift, by the way? Do we know? And now you got me thinking, too, like, there's a eclipse, right, in April? That's supposed to do something as well. Should be a little scary. A lot of stuff happening in the world, guys. This is potentially end times. You know, we don't know. We don't know. I try to see if I can keep you on the positive on a daily basis because it could be end times. So I'm preparing your soul for the worst, all right, by giving you what you should be getting, which is positivity and love. Interesting quick side note. TikTok earlier, I posted a piece of content. I didn't put it up on YouTube because I'm trying not to do anything political. But it was just the thing about what happened with Fannie Willis. And so I put it up on TikTok and someone went in there and they kind of went after anybody who's going after her and this other guy instead of, you know, trying to get off on the case. Like, oh, focus on the case instead of trying to, you know, like this whole weird thing. And then at the end, like a derogatory term to all white people. And so I just quickly responded and I just said, look, I'm sorry to see when I report the news for you. Because by the way, there was no opinion at all. It was just, here's the story. In fact, this is what I said. Fannie Willis, she must step aside or she has to fire Brad, whatever the heck his name is. What do you think? Do you think she will or do you think she'll step aside? She thinks she'll fire him or step aside? Let me know what you think. That's all. I didn't even have to say anything at all. And so I said, it's interesting. I just told you the news and you just went after like a whole group, like the whole, I was like, what is this? This is what racism looks like. And so he responded right away and I thought he'd come back and be like, fuck you, like most people are who have differing opinions. And he wrote back, he goes, yeah, you're right. You know, shouldn't have said that. You know, we do have to, I do think it's just bothers me how this is going and that's going. And I realized like he's frustrated and I'm frustrated about the way things are, you know? So I just quickly responded back and it was a very, very, I would say this is the message we should be saying to each other. I said, thank you for responding. I said, no matter how you feel, you're my brother. We have to stop thinking and believing that any politician or politicians really, really are focused on the people. I have a tendency to believe there is one that does, but in general, politicians as a whole, and the reason I think that this one does is because he's not a politician, but across the board, politicians are after their own hide. They don't even do the things that their constituents want. It's all about a lobbyist perspective, and they take the money from the lobbies and they go out there and they push the agenda of the corporations, the conglomerates, big pharma, all these different groups that run the world. So when I see people that are dividing and hating, I just wanted to say to him, you're my brother. No matter how we feel about anything, we have to stop thinking that the government is the answer. It's the people versus all of the government. And I'm not saying that in a like, let's go and like fight thing. It's that we need to focus on us because they're not focused on us. And they're doing this divide and conquer thing. And unfortunately, the gullible out there believe it. But if you start realizing the fact, which is that there is a single race, there is a single color, and we are all shades of that color. We are all one race, that we are split into all these different unique individual groups and sects and religious groups, whatever. All these things are separate within the one. Within the one. That's really what we are. We're one. It's like the best way to think about it is like we're divided into all these different things that only divide us. But if we come back to where we started, it's just the one. So, I don't know. It just bothers me. And the fact that he responded and he was open to hearing that back was nice. Because I want to say to people who don't agree with me, you're my brother. I love you. We don't have to agree on things. You just should be a little bit more open to not agreeing with me and being okay with that as well. Like, that's where we start. That's where we actually progress as a society, is like, okay, I don't agree with you, but I respect the fact that you have your own opinion. That's actually great. We have something to talk about. I don't want to be in an echo chamber. I do like when people agree with me on some things when talking about specific topics and we have a point of view that's similar like this. I mean, some people do like to hang out with people that are politically connected in the same area because then they don't have those disagreements. But I do believe we're a lot closer on things than we think. They just pick out about the maybe 8 to 10 things they know will be divided over, and that's all they drive all the time. It's pretty simple to realize that if they spent a little time fostering some of the things we connect on, like, just hanging out, music, comedy, that we would be in a different place as a society. But they don't. They take the 3 to 5 to 8 subjects that they know we're going to hate each other over, and then that's all we see in the news. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it's sad. It's really sad, to be honest, but that's why we continue here. Mom of Utah author accused of poisoning husband, possibly involved in planning his death. What in the freaking hell is wrong with people? What is happening? We read this one about the massive mutant sheep. I think that was 2 days ago. You guys know today and tomorrow, I think, is the Russian, I don't know if I could say the word, but they go in there and they decide to say how they feel, and if they want to have Putin stay for 6 more years. And they say he's going to make sure that he stays for 6 more years. Oh, goodness. All right, we have to just read this because this is scary stuff. Christina Applegate spotted this MS symptom 7 years before her diagnosis. My symptoms started as early as 2021. It was like literally just tingling on my toes. And by that time we started shooting, I was being brought to the set in a wheelchair. Like I couldn't walk that far. I didn't know what was happening to me. That January, my toes got numb and I ignored it. The balls of my feet got numb and I ignored it. All of a sudden, I'd be like falling over. People were like, oh, it's just neuropathy. At this point, they had to take me to a wheelchair and set, because I couldn't walk off the set. I was sleeping all the time. I gained 40 pounds. A lot of things happened. The anchorman legend of Ron Burgundy Star said Wednesday that she thinks she may have had MS for as long as 7 years before she was actually diagnosed. Her legs would sometimes give out from under her. I really just kind of put it off as being tired. I'm dehydrated or just the weather. And then nothing would happen for like months. And I didn't pay attention to it. Applegate described living with MS as a kind of hell. Said she found herself isolating at home. It's a way to cope with the difficulties of the disease. They call it the invisible disease. It can be very lonely because it's hard to explain to people. I'm in excruciating pain, but I'm just used to it by now. Right now I'm isolating. That's kind of how I'm dealing with it. It's like not going anywhere because I don't want to do it. It's hard. Amid her health battle, Applegate was taken to step back from acting, but Married with Children star made a surprise appearance at the 2024 Emmy Awards in January. Oh, man. The actress got emotional, and she received a standing ovation from the crowd. Applegate joked that her body was not by Ozempic. She barely remembers her Emmy's appearance. I kind of blocked it out. People said, oh, you were so funny. And I'm like, I don't even know what I said. I don't even know what I was doing. I got freaked out, so I didn't even know what was happening anymore. And I feel really beloved. And it was a beautiful thing. You know, so sad. I may have mentioned this the other day. One of my good friends has MS, and he's a young man. And we hang out sometimes. We went to a comedy show, and he's got a hard time getting around. And when we were out, I just asked him, I said, you know, what is it like? You know, what is it like? Because he said, I can't feel. He's like, I can't feel. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I can't feel anything. Like, he goes, you know how you get pins and needles in your foot, like in your feet, your foot falls asleep. I go, oh yeah, of course. He goes, that's my entire body. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, and it's all the time. So he doesn't get a break from it. And that's when I heard her say, I'm used to it now. I'm in excruciating pain, but I'm used to it now. Her whole body is numb. It's the freakiest thing in the world when I heard him say this to me. He said, my whole body's like pins and needles, like it's all falling asleep, and it like hurts. You know what I mean? Like, you know when you step on that foot, when it's numb, it hurts. Like hurts to step on it. That's his whole body, 24 hours a day. And it's such a sad thing to hear about. And like I want to pray for him and for anybody else out there, Christina Applegate too, just that there's some sort of relief. I don't know why this stuff happens to people, where they have to suffer like this and be tortured through their entire existence, you know? So I feel for you, Christina. I feel for you. I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. Can't. More of that. Anything else here? Chefs transform destructive invasive animal into gourmet delight. It's a real easy equation. You just freaking kill it. Let's see. Let's just see what this is. Chefs in the United States are bringing wild boar to a fresh set of palates, and their practical introduction of the protein could prevent billions of dollars worth of damages. As detailed by The Guardian, more than 6 million of the federal pigs roam the United States after being brought over by Christopher Columbus in 1493. I thought it was 1492. Is it they didn't get here till 1493? Chef Jesse Griffiths, co-owner of Austin, Texas restaurant Des Dieux, told the outlet that incorporating the game meat into his menu was a no-brainer. I think it's a real easy equation. I got a few in my backyard. I'm a chef. Murder the freaking hell out of them. Cooking it it's part of our menu now. You know, now I'm on the lookout for more wild boar. I'm going on a murder spree with my bow and arrow here in Texas. I don't even use a gun. I'm a bow and arrow guy. The real easy question, they're invasive. They need to be removed. The argument for a lot of other game species we eat isn't as strong, but it's pretty glaring when it comes to hogs. The Department of Agriculture has only 15 facilities inspecting wild boar to ensure that federal meat meets the safety guidelines, but some are hopeful that the agency will expand operations. Broken Arrow and Shogun Farms are among the providers helping to get wild boar to restaurant plates. We got a lot of resistance from the USDA at first, you know. Pamela Fay, the owner of Shogun Farms, they're starting to see this as a great solution. And we've had representatives from the entire Southeast come visit. Native to Europe and already a popular dish in some regions, wild boar have wreaked havoc on the invasive species in the United States, causing an estimated $2.5 billion in damages to pastures, food crops, livestock, and forests every year. That's insane. $2.5 billion in damage from a wild boar every year? That's a money grab. There's no way wild boar are out there causing that much damage. That's insane. They're in the middle of the friggin' woods. Are they out there taking out houses or something? Like, what are we talking about here? Are you eating wild boar? Are you getting a wild boar? I'm not wild boar in it. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think I'm wild boar in it. Maybe. You never know. Oh, goodness. Guys, we did it, didn't we? Wild boar in the news. Joanne, can you get me back on the screen, please? Oh, thank you, Joanne. Oh, goodness, guys. We had an awesome show last night. We'll have another one tonight. If you could do me a favor and leave a comment and hit that like if you haven't yet, really appreciate it. See if we can get some more people to see this feed today. Helen Gale Townsend, Starry Night, anybody else that's out there, if you're out there doing a lurkaroo, J.E., Sig Sauer, Chris Donaldson. I'm just going to scroll to Jim Leacone, Harvey. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And I'll try to be back. I will be doing another real estate piece on Connecticut Real Estate Report today. Also doing something for Marquez Wood. So make sure you subscribe to each of those channels. And I will be back for more here on MarkinsPires. I do have that really funny comedy about the guy who was kicked off the plane. That one I'll work on and try to get out sometime today for you guys so you can watch it. Oh, it was so funny. I think stereotypical humor is hilarious. Like the idea that we have to stop using stereotypes, mental to me. Like that was where so much comedy comes from, stereotypes. And not the thing is, there's like some of it is accurate. That's why they became stereotypes, but not everybody. That's the whole point. But it's funny because people can connect to the stereotype and get a good laugh. So the one I drop later, keep that in mind when you're watching. I don't want anybody saying, I'm offended because you were talking about, I don't give a crap what you're saying. It was funny. All right, and the guy should wear some speed stick. I'm just saying, go check it out. J.E., thank you so much for being here. All right, guys, not tomorrow, later, we're gonna get some real estate work done here. If you do need any assistance in the real estate market, make sure you contact me, DM me. We can help you anywhere in the United States. It's free of charge. Until later. You guys are awesome. Have a great day. You got to go away. Joanne, say goodbye. You got to go